You've been getting bullied by your thoughts as if somebody else was in control of them. When are you going to take your rightful place on the throne in your life? When are you going to take dominion and take authority over your circumstances? When are you going to own up to the fact that you've been feeling the way that you feel because you've been choosing to? It's not because of the things that they do to you. It's not because of the things that they do around you. Because before you pay any attention to it, before you reach into the currency bank of your attention span and you give it to things of meaningless value, they don't matter. Nothing matters until you give it your attention. And then it becomes the most important thing in the world. Because anything that we invest our imagination in, anything that we invest our time with, we become identified with the outcome. So even when we know that we're looking at something or we're involved in something that isn't for our good, isn't getting us ahead like we thought it would, but it's hard for us to detach from these things, these pursuits, these strategies, these emotions that we spend so much time caking with, for lack of a better terms. I mean, when we spend our intimate time hanging out with the darkest parts of ourselves that we pretend don't exist. And then we wonder why we're always seeing something. We're always in front of a picture that we perceive to be some type of harm or some type of wrongdoing towards us. Listen, paranoia is a natural consequence of the state of mind we've labeled fear. Fear leads to certain inevitable occurrences, certain inevitable patterns. We actually can become so experienced with the patterns that we can begin to recognize the patterns and refrain from doing certain actions and inevitably change our outcomes, still ignorant to how universal law functions. But that's just how obvious the patterns are. But we blind ourselves intentionally to the patterns so that we can continue in the dysfunction because it's become familiar. And to be real, the ego always is on a pursuit of familiarity, because in familiarity, the ego finds life sustained. And if the ego is a dead entity and it finds life sustained in anything, it's going to find life sustained in a source that produces the environment conducive for something that requires death to grow. If only you knew how many times you had sliced the back of your head trying to cut off the head of someone you perceive to be your enemy, you would put your sword down. You keep your sword in your possession because you live from a perpetual state of fear. And in that state of fear, you're always having these occurrences of anxiety, paranoia. You see things that aren't there. But when people try to bring your awareness to the fact that what you're seeing is not real, because it's so real to you and it's your creation, you want to protect it so much that you'll defend it to the degree that you become offensive to someone you said you love. That's why we got to break the blindness and illusions. That's why we got to live beyond fear.